Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night News. I am Joe Compton.
Hello. And I'm Venessa Giunta, also known as Vanessa G, because nobody can pronounce my last name if they see it on the screen. So,
And we're here, and we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. And Anita's here, and then Vanessa's breaking the third wall for us. And so, if you're here, let us know you're here and say hello.
fourth
Uh,
wall,
and
fourth
and
wall,
what's that?
fourth wall, fourth wall,
Fourth
breaking
wall.
the fourth wall.
Yeah, fourth wall, fifth wall, 100th wall. Who cares? It's a
Hey,
wall.
whatever. What is reality even?
So potato, right? So
Potato, potato.
all right. Well, welcome everybody. Yeah, we've got a really good show. Vanessa's got a really interesting, gripping story to start us off with. So I'm going to let her take over, and we'll go from there. So Vanessa, please.
Well, I don't know if it's so much a gripping story as a lot of advice. All right. So our first story is actually going to be talking a little bit about safety, because safety has been a growing concern over the last several decades as the internet, particularly social media, has become more and more antagonistic. But especially now, in an age of book banning and bigotry, threats and violence against those in public facing careers have increased dramatically, especially for marginalized people, including authors and other creators. I'd like to read a little bit from a recent PEN America article about the experiences of a Muslim author who was born in India and raised in the United States and hit the New York Times bestseller list back in 2019, I think. All right. Sharing her deep well of guidance for booksellers and authors dealing with the spike in threats and harassment targeting talks and readings, New York Times bestselling author Samira Ahmed delivered a stunner at a recent PEN America hosted conversation. She said she now checks into hotels under an alias on book tours after she discovered an individual was calling hotels in the city where she was set to speak to find out where she was staying. Ahmed offered a trove of lessons learned since 2019 when she began experiencing threats and harassment a year after her first novel for young adults, Love, Hate, and Other Filters, was published and became a New York Times bestseller. She spoke to an audience of 60 booksellers, publicists, publishers, librarians, and authors at the online gathering last month. When planning a book event, now I think this is really interesting, and recognize that she's talking about book events like signings and readings versus conventions, but it's still probably good rule of thumb. So when planning a book event, Ahmed advises bookstores to position staff or volunteers near the book signing table and the entrances and exits. She noted that one bookstore lined up local high school football players for this purpose. While signing books and taking photos, she keeps a physical distance between herself and attendees by leaning across the table for photographs instead of inviting people to stand with her behind the table. She also requests that attendees leave their packages or bags on their chair when they approach the signing table. She shared that due to credible and escalating threats for a festival event, her publisher arranged a two-person security team to escort her. Safety doesn't end when the event does. She also counseled writers to ask their publisher to cover the cost of a car service rather than having to rely on a ride-hailing app. Now, of course, indie authors and other indie creators don't have the luxury of having a publisher cover expenses, but some of the dangers faced by Ms. Ahmed can also affect indies. So thinking about these things and having plans in place can mitigate potential danger. We're including links in the show notes below that will take you to some excellent resources on this topic, but we thought we'd give you some suggestions as well. Beginning with online safety can help in minimizing potential dangers in real life. Start with making sure to use different passwords on all your sites. We've been told that since the dawn of the internet, and it's a huge hassle, but everyone's information is on the dark web at this point because most major companies, banks, social media platforms have been hacked. If you're using the same password across different sites, your accounts are at risk. Then turn on two-factor authentication, which is also called 2FA. This is basically a step where you have to put in a security code sent to your email or your phone or your authenticator app in order to log in. If you're publishing through Amazon's KDP, absolutely use 2FA for your account. Don't mess with it, because you do not want some bad actor to get into your KDP account, publish a whole bunch of stuff that violates Amazon rules, and then your account gets suspended, because they don't just suspend your account, they suspend your name, your social security number. You won't be able to work. And Amazon won't work, won't actually work with you on it. It'll be your fault regardless. So if you do not have 2FA already activated on your Amazon account, please do that like as soon as you're done watching the show. I wouldn't even mind if you left right now, but I really you didn't. But at any rate, so definitely you want to use different passwords. There are all kinds of different services that are password keepers. The one I use personally is Bitwarden, Bitwarden, and it is one of the better ones, and it's free. So recommend that to keep track of all your different passwords. All right. Go to Google your name, use an incognito browser window, or log out of your Google account before you do, so your results aren't skewed. But see where your name pops up. What kind of sites is it on? Is it you? Is it somebody else with your name? Is it somebody else who's using your name? Also check your images. Check the images as well. You especially want to see where those images are popping up, because you should recognize anywhere an image pops up. And if you don't, then that's a problem. Also, be aware of what you're posting on social media. Try not to post real-time pictures of where you are unless it's a sufficiently public or alternately inaccessible to the public place. Be careful of taking pictures of the front of your house, or you in front of your house or your mailbox, so you don't accidentally give away your address. Also, if you don't know how to strip the metadata from your photos before posting them on the internet, Google that right now. There are also options to turn off location photo metadata altogether. Basically, what your camera does is it records where you took that photo.
Yeah.
So if you're taking a bunch of pictures of yourself in your house and then you post those and it has that metadata in it, people can grab that. And 100% do not post photos of your underage children on open public social media. Don't do that. Don't do that. There are super creepy people out there looking at the pictures of your babies. Don't do that. I mean, I'm not your mom. You ain't got to listen to me, but don't do that. This next bit is something I wish I'd thought about before publishing. And it's useful to consider for everyone, especially women and other marginalized groups. If you live in the United States and you own a home, consider writing under a pen name. I know you really want to see your name on a book spine, but in the United States, public property records are public. Anyone can look up your name in your county of residence. They can find your address and show up on your doorstep. A pen name isn't a guarantee that someone isn't going to stalk you to your home, but it definitely it puts an extra obstacle in their way. Now, we're not trying to scare you or anything like that, but we just want to make sure that we're all safe. And there are a lot more things that you can do to enhance your safety. And Joe, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Trying to think of some good things, good advice.
Well, I
I
gave
mean,
him a heads up that I was going to throw this at him, and he still didn't think of something beforehand.
well, I mean, honestly, I mean, those are all good tidbits. I mean, the pen name thing. Okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, don't post anything that has any information really. Like like a photo of an ID or anything like that. Don't
Oh yeah.
if you're sending that to somebody, make sure you do it on a secured site. Don't and then delete it immediately from your computer.
Mhm.
Don't leave it on your computer after you uploaded it, to wherever you upload it to. Um, Also, get some kind of malware, get some kind of spyware on your computer, get some, like
Spyware, not spyware, but
uh,
spyware
anti
checker,
anti
something
anti
that
anti I'm sorry,
anti-spyware,
yeah,
right?
anti spyware, anti malware on your computer that hunts those things down, like a Bit Defender or Norton virus.
Malbites
Yeah,
or
I would definitely do
mal.
that because that helps, and I would run that. I run mine once a month to just kind of scour everything. I
Mhm,
mean, it runs all the time, but I run a more thorough one once a month just to scour things and keep
mhm.
things clean as much as I possibly can. And I do it both on my computer and my phone. Don't think your phone is not susceptible to getting caught, because it is also carrying information, especially
Mhm.
and especially, your settings have all of your information in them, so you want to make sure you can secure those down as quickly as possible. Um, you know, I think for going to events and things like that, travel buddies are good. Make sure you have a travel buddy. If you're especially if you're in a group where you feel like you might be endangered, if you're going to go to an event, in a marginalized group, or just people, just if you feel uncomfortable at all with going at something alone, I would definitely get a travel buddy. Make sure you guys can coordinate and go to the same place at the same time, just to get to the safe space. Usually cons, and I mean even bookstores to a certain extent, they don't want any harm to come to their customers or to the people who are there to sign books and things like that. So they're going to be relatively safe spaces. The cons are going to be pretty safe spaces. I don't know of many cons that prey on people. I mean, there are some out there, and there are
Yeah.
some
Well,
that are not, socially
mhm,
acceptable or secured. But
mhm.
there's a lot of
I
safe
think in
ones.
I think in this context, they're not talking specifically about the organization, the con or the bookstore doing anything.
Yeah.
But like the thing that really struck me is that she takes photos with the table between because and
Mhm.
asks people to leave their stuff on their seat, because if someone wants to do you harm, they just need to get close, right?
Yeah.
They just need to get close to you. So I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with a bookstore being
Yeah.
a company, a business that wants to keep you safe. Of course they do,
Mhm.
but you can't police every single person who walks in the
True.
door. And the same with cons. I mean, we've seen like different that like assaults happen at conventions and things like that,
Yeah.
usually at the bigger ones. But so I think it really comes down to situational awareness. And I know I, as a woman, always have situational awareness.
Mhm.
There's never a time I'm not paying attention to who's around me, what's happening around me, and how, if I need to, like, where I can go to get away from if something happens. Like,
Sure.
but we also need to make sure that we're thinking ahead, right? Thinking ahead. And there's also ways to take your public information off of the data brokers.
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all have dug that deep. But the data brokers, you know how you can do like a background check on somebody online, or you can
Yeah.
search public, like there are services that will kind of collate all the
Yeah.
information from like federal, state, local governments and things like that. You can opt out of those for free. And
Yeah.
there's a website, or it's on GitHub, but it's called the Big Ass Data Broker Opt Out List. I'll put the link in the chat,
Mhm.
and then maybe you can grab it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can grab it. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to put a link in the chat or not.
That's okay. I'll
Did it
find
go
it.
through? You'll find it. Okay. And
Mhm.
then you can put it in the show notes.
Yep.
And what it is it's a list of all the different major places that sell your data, and tells you how to opt out, and it also ranks them, like it gives them, this is a crucial one. So if you only have enough spoons to do so many, you go through at a time, you go through and do all the crucial ones, and then they'll do ones that are important, and then they'll do ones that are just like classmates.com, that's just annoying, but there is a way to get your data off of the internet in that way. Now, you can't do that if somebody goes directly to like a county public records website. It won't affect that. It only affects these big data companies that they have the data for the sites that people can go to look up somebody's background check for like $25 or whatever. So you can have it removed and it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to go and, put in the information that you want removed. So, yeah.
It's a troubling time for sure. And, I mean, as you mentioned, you have always been self-aware of situations. And I think that's proceeding with caution is always the better part, even for someone like myself. If I'm walking around downtown Atlanta at 3 a.m. after Dragon Con vendor, I'm not walking alone. It's just not a good practice. I think you're really just traveling in groups and staying in numbers is a really, really good practice at any con, at any event that you attend. If you're having a signing, bring someone along with you. So, have someone there. If nothing else, you can put them to work. Hey, hand me a book, so I can sign it, right? Or coordinate the crowd control,
definitely
whatever.
Talk to the bookstore about that too. Talk to wherever you are. We're getting ready to vend at a very large at Atlanta Comic Con. And there are thousands of people that come through there. Now, I haven't had any problem ever with anybody, but that doesn't mean somebody wouldn't have a problem, right? So you just have to be aware. Yeah.
I was super impressed with the way that Dragon Con managed the America's Mart. I thought that they do a pretty decent job of making sure that you can get in and out and have access, but also that the right people have access, right? They're not, and because I've seen people try to sneak in there and they caught them and they got them, right? So, they've done a pretty good job with that. So I was pretty impressed by that.
Years. I mean, they've been doing it for years. So, and it's been at the America's Mart probably for 8 years now, maybe 10.
Like
I don't know, the whole COVID thing. So they, because the vendors, the dealer's room used to be in the downstairs of the Marriott. So it was within a hotel. Now it's in a whole separate building. You got to walk a block and a half to get to. But yeah, they do a really good job. But we're go ahead.
The maze that is the downstairs of the Marriott. I mean, that's my one panel. I had my one panel at the downstairs of the Marriott. And man, what a maze that is to get to that panel room.
It's really just like a central area and then 4 hallways that go off of it. But they weren't in the hallways; they were in the main ballrooms on the main part of the floor. But either way, no, they do a good job. But even at Dragon Con, especially the years where it coincides with the football games that happen, which is usually every other or every third year, we always have problems with assaults because the football fans get discounted rooms. They use the Dragon Con rate and get rooms in the hotels. And so there's always, and not to say, of course, all football players are like that, or all football fans are like that. Obviously not. But our reports of assaults and at least anecdotally, I don't have access to the actual reports, but I always hear way more reports of SA and just plain assault in the years that it coincides with the football games, which is a shame.
And one last thing I will mention too is do your research. Look at the con, talk to people who've been to the con, look at the bookstore, talk to people at the bookstore, look where the
Mhm.
bookstore is located, where it is at.
If you can, go to the bookstore.
Yeah,
If you're not
scope
familiar
it
with
out.
it, and walk around so you just have the lay of the land. And that's just,
Yeah,
not necessarily because you're looking for exits or whatever, but just so that you understand, the layout of the store.
yeah, I agree with that.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's almost paramount to do. Even 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 if you're not even if you're not looking at it for security reasons, I think it's paramount to do it just for its logistic reasons and figuring out how the hell I'm going to sit at this table and where my book's going to be and everything like that at the time I'm going to do
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are important things too, just logistically for your signing. So
Mhm.
I always recommend people to do the reconnaissance that is required.
Yeah, and obviously, if it's a local bookstore, you can do that. But if you do set up a book tour, whether it's because you're published and they're assisting you with a book tour, or if you independently, you're like, hey, I want to travel a while, let me see if I can hit some bookstores.
Yeah.
You still should try to, before your actual signing time, should try to get down there if you can, but you can't always.
Mhm.
So, but it is good. And, this whole conversation kind of makes me sound super paranoid,
Right.
but, it's scary out there,
It
y'all.
is, yeah. I pulled this graphic. I thought that this would be apropos for the.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly how I use y'all. But you got to act
It
right.
means all, but you got to act right.
You got to come correct. That's exactly right. You got to come correct. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think this is an important topic at a time when it's important to note, our safety is paramount right
Yeah.
now, and that we want to
Yeah.
be inclusive and not exclusive, and I think that's
Yeah.
important.
And also, with the rise in just general harassment, uh, and bigotry, and the rise in harassment of marginalized groups, especially immigrants, especially queer people, trans people, really especially, it's important. It's important not only for ourselves, but to also look out for each other, because
Absolutely.
we're a community. And if one of my people needs me, I want to be there. And if I can have their back, that's how we work, right?
Absolutely.
That's how you foster community. You take care of each other.
And I don't want them to miss out on things that are going on because of the fear
Yes.
of not being able to be safe. So I'm going to try and make that a safe space so that the people that I love can be where they need to be. So
Yes. Agreed. 100%.
it's a weird segue, y'all, but we do have a great marketing tip this, and it's about
Well,
collaboration.
I
It's
mean, we're
about
talking about like getting out there and doing signings and stuff. So it works, right? That's marketing.
Yeah, this is a way to stay home and market, but also collaborate with one another. So this is a
We do
great
like
marketing
staying
tip.
home.
Yeah, and so
We do like staying home.
this is an awesome way to take your stuff to the next level, get yourself a social media presence, and I'll let CLK explain all the rest.
Hey guys, Theo Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another monthly marketing tip. And today I want to talk to you about collaborating with other authors in joint promotions to boost your reach. So first of all, why collaborate? Are you not just fine doing things on your own? Well, it's pretty simple. Shared audiences equals multiplied visibility. Think of it like this. You have readers. Other authors have readers too, and chances are they may not have heard of you yet. So when you join forces, you're kind of cross-pollinating audiences in a way that feels organic, it can be fun, and it's usually very mutually beneficial. Joining forces with authors in your genre is one of the easiest and the most effective ways to get more eyes on your book. Plus, readers love discovering new authors who write in the same genres that they already enjoy. You're not competing, you're complementing each other. Remember, when you do join a promotion, that trust and consistency matter. Don't ghost your collab partners. Share the promotion when and where you say you will when you sign up. Communicate clearly with the organizers and support the authors in the promo by doing your part. Everyone does so much better, and the outcomes are always so much better when everyone does their part. Also, don't join every promo you see. You need to vet the person running the promotion, and you also need to ensure that it's targeted at the right audience for your books. You don't want to go into something that is multi-genre. A lot of those promotions fail, or they don't achieve the same results for everyone, mostly because the audience is too wide. There are a few different ways to collaborate, and all these options that I'm going to list for you can be very cost effective while also giving your marketing reach a boost. You can organize a group sale or event yourself. Of course, this is you taking everything on. That's from making the graphics to setting it up, announcing it, publicizing it, and communicating with all the authors, contacting all the authors. So that there is a lot that does go into it. So if you're not ready for that, you can also use a tool like Story Origin or Book Funnel. Both of those are great options. Or you can just join a promotion that's hosted by someone else, like a company or a fellow author. Speaking of joining a promo hosted by a company or a fellow author, my company, Fiction Atlas Press, has been running promos for almost 10 years now. We offer low-cost promotions to help you build your newsletter, your social media followers, your BookBub, Amazon followers, and more. We also offer book fairs that focus on driving more traffic to your book and increasing sales. We are a vetted member of the Alliance of Independent Authors, and we have nearly 100 five-star reviews on our Facebook page. We've helped authors at all stages of their journey, from beginners to USA Today and New York Times bestsellers. Our promos start at just $10, and no promotion is over $40, and that's with all the bells and whistles added. If you'd like to join one of our promotions, you can join our Facebook group, you can sign up for our newsletter, or you can visit our website to see what's currently available. No matter how you choose to go about it, collaborating with other authors isn't just clever marketing. It's a way to build community and what can sometimes feel like a very solo journey. So if you haven't tried a joint promotion yet, what are you waiting for? Okay, that's my marketing tip for June. I hope it helped you understand what joint marketing is, why it's important, and it provides you with a few ideas on how to get started. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about today's tip or marketing in general. You could email me at info@fiction-atlas.com with your questions, or check me out on my websites listed below. I hope you have a lovely month, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I love her stuff.
Truth be told, that marketing tip was generated by me because I told her that she needs to promote her stuff more. And hello, Heather. Nice to see you. But I won't take full credit for that, but I told her that I saw her, having all these builders out there that needed some people.
Mm-hmm.
And these are $5-10 things that you can do really easily. Yeah. And she will enhance everything you do with that builder. It is a genius market tool that she has used for almost 5 years now, and it has helped so many people do so many things.
I've done several of her promos, and I think the very first one I did was a newsletter builder, and I think I got like 300 signups for it. And with anytime you do a builder like that, you're going to lose a portion of the signups because really they just signed up for whatever, the free book or the entry to the contest or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's fine. But like a lot of them stayed, probably more than 40 or 50% stayed. So yeah, I highly recommend. She really does very, very pointed. Like they're not just like, hey, some of them are urban fantasy or whatever, but those are usually the big book sale ones. But she does very targeted ones. Like she'll
genre do, typically she's usually
even like genres. Series, like if what you're writing is like the Dresden Files, or if what you're writing is like the Librarians or whatever, right? So she also does those very targeted ones, which are brilliant.
Absolutely
brilliant.
Yeah, so. Going Now in the early days was part of one of the scavenger hunts, and we got like 200 subscribers in that 48-hour period. A lot of which are still here, so that's pretty cool. But yeah. But I'm sorry.
Anita said the science fiction fantasy book fair still has open slots. Those are the ones that are the big ones. Like she does those, I think, quarterly, something like that.
Yeah. The Christmas
and
one
those-
is the really big one. The Christmas one,
Oh yeah.
you literally have to sign up in September to get a spot there, and it is.
Yeah, and you got to
it's
sign up
huge.
as soon as they open
Yep.
because those go fast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we have other tools to offer you today. So real excited to help out the Society of Authors here, who have come up with this incredibly free downloaded authors toolkit. It's a new illustrated digital resource, and I'll put it up right here so you can see it. It's a new illustrated digital resource called Author Care, a toolkit for authors, and it was launched at the National Writers Conference in Birmingham on May 31st. It provides a practical advice and support to authors at all stages of their career. And like I said, it was produced by the Society of Authors and supported by Authors Licensing and Collecting Society. The toolkit was created in response to a high number of authors who reported to the SOA that they occasionally find the industry opaque and difficult to navigate. And so a growing number of authors cited the lack of support and transparency, stating that they do not know what to expect from publishers, agents, and other professionals whom they encounter and work with during their publishing journey. So the toolkit comes at a time when professional authors' median earnings have nearly halved since 2006, plummeting. This one is done in pounds, but it's roughly half of the income from about 15,000 down to about 8,000 if you do it in dollars. The decline also signals growing inequality in the industry, reporting lower incomes from Black and multiple heritage authors, as well as a widening gender pay gap. Launched by a project led by Mathilda Zeman, along with author and editor Kasim Ali, the 25-page toolkit can be downloaded for free on the Society of Authors website. We have the link
You like free
in the description. Yes, free is good, right?
Yep.
And here's an example of the download. Literally, that is the download page, so you can literally see it is totally free. And there is no catch. Zeman said being an author is hard at the moment for many reasons, including failing author incomes, the rise of artificial intelligence, and the difficulties of being heard in a crowded marketplace. However, the quality of working relationships with publishing professionals can also shape an author's experience and even affect the decision to pursue a career in writing. Ali also said that being an author can mean opening yourself up to a fair few challenges, which is why transparent and supportive working relationships with agents and publishers are crucial to an author's development and sustaining their career in the long term. So having a resource such as the Author Care, a toolkit for authors made available to all authors, whether they are just starting out, decades into their career, is an important step in protecting authors. The toolkit outlines how respectful communication, industry transparency, support, and inclusion can enhance the author experience. It includes clear guidance on what authors should expect from publishers, agents, and other professionals, teaching them how to constructively raise concerns if things go wrong in their publication journey. Boy, I could have used this about 15 years ago. It's also
I'm sure.
It's also designed to help authors avoid isolation that can be so common in their profession. The deputy chief executive of Society Authors, Sarah Burton, said, "Author care is about more than contracts and royalties. It's about how authors are treated throughout their careers. The toolkit is a response to what we've increasingly heard from our members, that professional support and mutual respect are just as important as legal protections." Amen. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I have not played with it. I've downloaded it, but I have not gone through it a little bit. I don't know if you have yet, Vanessa.
I haven't yet.
But I mean,
I did download it, but I haven't. Yeah.
26 pages are really nice. They did it in a nice consensus way. I mean, 26 pages is nothing. And I will say this. GoIndie Now is contributing as much as possible to the transparency of authoring as well, because we have a show that we do here called Page Numbers with Bob Magoo, who he's interviewing and returning here in June here. In fact, a week from Wednesday, it will be back. And it's a monthly show that Bob does where he sits down with authors and goes through the numbers and how the numbers got there and what they do, how they got to the point they got to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it talks about agencies and publishing contracts and things of that nature as well. It's a really great show. So we're contributing as well, but this is a really great tool. It's like having a dictionary or having a thesaurus near your side.
Yeah.
It's a reference guide, basically.
Yes. I'm very excited for it.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is a long overdue thing, and I really appreciate the Society of Authors doing that. Big shout out to them and all they're doing and how they put this together. So everybody go check that out. Like I said, the link is already there. You can go click on it and grab one. And I think it'll be well worth it, no matter where you are in your publishing journey. So, anything else to add there?
No. I was actually just looking for the link in the show notes, and I don't see it.
Oh, all right. Maybe
There's
I didn't put it there, but it will be there. It will be there the moment that this show ends. I promise. I will.
Yes, and a whole bunch of the links from the
I have all those
thing as well.
Yeah, I have all those. I just didn't get a chance to put them in this afternoon, so I apologize.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day, y'all.
That being said, something else that is really important to us and being put out there, as the programming director sits to my right here, your left, everybody, of the
right.
wonderful convention, the Multiverse Convention. Their charity, they do a charity thing every year where they support one charity, they decide the charity, and then they support it with auctions and certain fundraising drives and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And this is uniquely suited toward all of you out there, because it is the Trevor Project that they're supporting this year. But this moment, at this time, is a very, very important idea that they have put together to support, to really, really up the ante for this. I've done a lot to promote this, and I'm going to continue to do so throughout the weekend. But this is important because it ends on Sunday, and so we're going to play a little bit from my show on Monday that I put together about this exact thing, and then we'll be back. As we count down to the Multiverse Convention, one of the many things that has been important to this con from the very beginning is its charity involvement. And this year, Multiverse is teaming with the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is an American nonprofit organization that was founded in 1998. It focuses on suicide prevention efforts for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. And they offer a toll-free telephone number where confidential assistance is provided by trained counselors. And right now is a very special opportunity, because if you contribute through the Multiverse link, any amount that you give will be quadrupled. So if you give $25, the donation will actually be $100. Now you can only do this for a limited time, in fact until June 8th, but that doesn't mean you can't give at any point after June 8th. In fact, you can use that link to give well beyond even the convention. So please, anything you can give, anything you can do from now through the convention is appreciated, and help support this wonderful cause.
I was so excited when we chose the Trevor Project, because it's always been very close to my heart, because I've always been part of the queer community. Since I was in high school, I participated in the March on Washington, and for gay marriage and all that. So when we chose the Trevor Project, I was so happy.
I have a filmmaker friend who made a queer movie based upon a suicide hotline. It's actually a thriller, so it's not so highlighting the really good work it's done. But he did donate a lot of the profit to the Trevor Project, and I've been donating ever since. So yeah, it's a super important cause. I think what they do.
Uh-oh. Joe froze, y'all. Can y'all still hear me? Maybe I froze. Somebody froze. Oh, I'm not frozen. My internet still works. Anita, can you see Joe? Is he moving for you? Am I moving for you? Uh-oh. I hope we don't die. Because if his internet went down. Joe! Joe! Well, I'll just keep talking about how excited I was when we chose Trevor Project. And we specifically chose Trevor Project this year because of the sort of war on trans folks, war on queer folks, war on rights. So that's absolutely why we chose Trevor Project. So I think it's hilarious, like the face he's making. Oops, he must be back. Are you back, Joe? It took a second for his camera to come on pre-show as well. So maybe I don't know. He's just a spinning wheel now. All right. We'll give him a second and see if he comes in. Yes, it is a great nonprofit organization. I agree with you, Heather, 100%. 100%, because especially now in terms of trans folks, suicide rates are crazy. They've always been high for queer kids, but specifically for trans kids right now, it's awful. Joe, we missed you. Oh, he can't hear me. You can't hear me, can you? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Oh, he's gone again. See, I told y'all we were having technical difficulties today. So I suspect he's going to connect with his phone with the video. So we will see. Yeah, the internet is wonky. Yeah. And he was having trouble, like I said, when in the pre-show, when we were backstage, his camera was just like not working as well. So we do have one more. We have one more news item. Except Joe, this was Joe's. So it's word of the day, macro distribution. So it's basically indie film and audiobooks trending up, which is kind of hilarious because as indie authors, we've known that audiobooks were a thing. So, oh, wait. You're back again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. I apologize.
Okay. The internet happens.
Yeah, I got connected to my phone's hotspot, so I should be good from here on out. But I was frozen.
Yeah.
Heather says the Trevor Project is a great nonprofit organization, and the internet is very wonky.
Yep. I was just queuing up our next story. So I'm now glad that I'm not going to have to try to pronounce some of the names in this story. So I'm going to leave that to you. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, you know something, Venessa? Do you know what the word of the day is today?
Yes, I already told them that part.
Uh-oh, am I frozen again?
I told you I was queuing up. What's the word of the day? What's the word of the day, y'all?
Yes, it is.
If they were paying attention.
It's macro distribution. Yeah, and once upon a time, I'm gonna tell a couple tales here. First off, once upon a time, Hannah Peterson created a film called The Graduates. It was stuck in limbo, and its cast included John Cho, and Chloe Zhao was an executive producer. You would think, and it premiered at Tribeca in 2023 with 2 excellent reviews, and yet It never had a distribution deal. Never got one. But it did have a fan. And Karen Coleman, a film programmer who runs a nonprofit called The Future of Film is Female. And I have a graphic for that. I did have a graphic for that. But, I don't see the graphic.
Technology's hard.
Yeah. Oh, well. It was a cool graphic, too. It had like a little punk rock logo that said The Future of Film is Female. But anyway, it was frustrating to see Peterson's film go unreleased, so she decided to release it herself. She used her connections to land a graduate at New York screening in November, and then with the expansion to follow, crafting the release strategy in tandem with Peterson. But The Future of Film is Female is not technically a distributor, and Coleman has yet to quit her day job. The graduates won't see many screens. It is maybe one or just two films Coleman's company releases all year. Coleman doesn't even expect to make the film's very modest budget back. But the film will be seen outside of New York and LA and get a better chance of finding an audience ahead of a 2025 streaming debut. Coleman says she told IndieWire, who did this article, what we're trying to do is redefine what success looks like for this film in particular. Coleman is not alone. This is not an unusual story for film professionals. They're frustrated by the good, but the small movies that don't sell on the festival circuit. They're limited with limited resources. There's a movement to give these films their theatrical due with bespoke release strategies. It's called micro distribution, and don't call it forewalling. When a producer pays to rent a theater, often for awards consideration, you're just there. And she screens the film whenever they decide to screen it, and they are quality screenings. The micro budget and small part definitely fits, but the care and attention is macro. And so the gold standard for the micro distribution has been a small movie called Hundreds of Beavers, which was a very odd movie that didn't have a whole lot of dialogue. In fact, none. It was silent, black and white slapstick comedy. And this is actually a scene from The Graduates. But it spent more than a year playing at 50 different festivals, opened in theaters in 2024 on a budget of $150,000, and it's made about $700,000 worldwide. And producer Kurt Wavenwood said that there was nobody coming in to save us. We knew that for this movie to succeed, a black and white movie with no stars and no dialogue, it had to be a bit of an event. So a few distributors showed interest, but the theatrical would have meant a week's run in theaters before streaming, and it was just checking a box. So the run was not a means to an end. It was the very essence of this film. So the Beavers team took a risk on holding its theatrical rights rather than play the room at the CinemaCon. They teamed with veteran distribution expert Jessica Rossner, who loved the film and devised the Great Lakes Roadshow, a 14-day tour across the Midwest with live Q&As and vaudeville moments. It finally made its way to the coast, but Hundreds of Beavers has never played on more than 30 screens at a time, but yet continues to perform. And one reason a traditional distributor avoids a movie like Hundreds of Beavers is it's unlikely to hit profit margins. So a distributor needs to justify its spot on the release slate. And on that basis, many micro budgets aren't worth it. You know, a similar story. A friend of ours, someone you all know very well here, Miss J.D. Blackrose, has sought to put her books in audio for a very long time since I've known her. She's talked about it, and so she finally came across, and it's audiobooks are so expensive to produce; they're just incredibly difficult. And then the ACX option has not been very viable for many people who do the 7-year plan thing. It's just not something that anybody wants to be sucked into, and then you're in a void of nothingness, basically, with that plan. Trust me, I know I did it, so I understand it very well. And they don't champion any success with that. They're basically trying to get as much money as they can up front for it, and then they forget about it. And you're then stuck for 6 years trying to get the hell out of the contract. So basically, audiobooks have been kind of this mystic fairyland for indie authors, especially, right? But it come to find out that over the last year, according to BookScan, audiobooks are up 13% in all marketplaces. So when JD Blackrose looked into it, she discovered a place called Soundbooth Theater, which specializes in full cast audiobooks and audio deep dives, immersive audio productions enhanced with special effects and music. And they're known for game lit RPG, fantasy, science fiction, comedy, and more. So making an audiobook and selling to listeners is easier with production tools, marketing support, and responsive customer service to maximize an audiobook's potential. The indie audiobook publishing game is changing, and with new audiobook distributors entering the market, you don't miss out on listeners with places like Authors Republic. From this one powerful self-publishing platform, you can sell all your audiobooks retail to libraries, streaming channels like Audible, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Hoopla, Libby. It's kind of what Smashwords was at once upon a time, and then other places like Overdrive and places like that where you can get into books, where you can get into libraries. There's also a DIY company called Audio Bookshelf where you can create your own audiobook library and put it out there for people, and then you're basically doing a shared audiobook experience for people as well. So the distribution networks are there. It's just the creation process that is been hampered. But with places like Soundbooth Theater out there, I think there's a lot more opportunity for people to kind of get immersive experiences for their novels. I know a lot of people are putting out audio plays right now, which are full-fledged, basically plays like the old radio days of the 30s and 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're complete with sound effects and everything like that. And that's becoming a big thing. And I think that is, if you talk about trending aspects, I think that is a very, very trending forward thing that I think in 2026, 2027 may be paramount. Kind of what hardback books and collector items are for the in-person sales right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is going to become the norm for audiobooking as well. Especially if you have multiple POVs and things of that nature, or different genders or different voices you want to create through this, right? And that's not to say that there's not talented one-person audio producers who can't do multiple voices. There's tons of them. Whether they're affordable or not is the question. And with AI being out there and AI demanding your attention and people kind of looking at that because it's cheap and easy to do, this might be a better alternative to get a production and also to help indies helping each other. So an indie company like Soundbooth Theater is going to help you while you are helping them, show that you don't need all those stupid shortcuts like AI to make something of quality and of affordability as well. So I also believe that audiobook pricing is going down in a lot of marketplaces.
I hope so.
So I think that also will contribute a lot. And of course, you can always give out codes to audiobooks, even through these micro distributors that are out there. So I definitely think, looking at the opportunity, if you were thinking about an audiobook or an audio play right now, might be a good opportunity to look at some of the smaller micro distributors and producers out there to kind of get things going and see if you can't produce something just like JD did. Again, I am going to pimp our network because I will tell you that I am going to be sitting down with not only JD, but one of the producers at Soundbooth Theater and talk about how they went through this process and did that. So there will be a behind the scenes episode about this very topic that will be premiering. Oh,
that's going to be cool.
Premiering probably sometime in early July. So
nice.
We will have that for you as well. So you'll be able to get that idea of what they do and how they do it and everything to that nature. So I think that's a very important, and yeah, James says it. I love audiobooks so much, and I think everybody, I think I think that trend when they do this book scan for this time next year is going to go up even more, and I just think it's
I mean,
bigger and bigger.
I kind of think it's hilarious that the industry is like, oh, audiobooks are up. Audiobooks have been up year over year for like the last 7 or 8 years. It's just like, it's always been this way, and especially now because people are so busy and, they listen to audiobooks in the car. They listen to audiobooks when they run. They listen to audiobooks at the gym. They listen to audiobooks while they're waiting for the doctor. Like there's all kinds of places for it. And even when my books are not yet in audio, and I get every single convention I go to, at least one person asks me if I have it in I have it in audiobook because they say they don't read, they listen.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, I really respect Sound Booth Theater. Like they're doing such great work out there. And there are a lot of other, not a lot, there are several other companies that are they're kind of like audio publishing houses, right? They only do audio rights, and they just, in the same way you would submit to a publisher to have your work published, you submit to an audio publisher, an audiobook publisher, and if they accept you, then they carry all the costs and stuff. I will say that while I don't disagree with you that probably big productions are going to be more common, as a listener, as a reader, listener, I don't like them. I don't like multicast, sound effects, all that. I don't like it.
It's a little disconcerting. I agree.
And I find it distracting from the story only because when there's that level of audio, I'm expecting a picture.
Yeah.
I expect to be in the movies. So like part of my brain is going, okay, this doesn't, I don't like this. This is not how I'm, and it can also be unfamiliarity. I did listen to one that was this short story, and it was basically about an astronaut on a not a space station, I don't think, but it was like a spaceship, or I don't know, maybe it was a space station, I don't remember, like modern times, and there's a zombie outbreak, and she manages to get herself into like whatever she's in, but she's calling down to Earth, and there's only one person left on the radio because the zombie outbreak is down there too. And so, like, you can imagine where that goes. It was a very depressing story, but like it had all these sounds and stuff like that, which made it super creepy, but it also was driving. You know what I mean? I don't need that level of distraction, when I'm driving. I want the person reading to be able to do the voices. That's fine, but like all that weird music and the banging, and no.
Could you imagine like driving in Peachtree City at night and having that on?
Oh, that'd be super cool. But yeah, it feels less like reading and more like a play, which is fine if that's what I'm expecting, sure. But like, again, like for me, then I'm not going to be doing distracting things or things that I shouldn't be distracted too much from, like driving. And that's actually, I don't listen to audiobooks. I only listen to audiobooks in the car, or like if I'm flying or something like that. If I'm traveling in some way, that's the only time I listen to audiobooks. I don't listen to them around the house. I know a lot of people do it while they clean, but I don't clean, so it's not a problem.
One of the perks of flying so much is that I do have opportunities to listen to audiobooks because I don't want to hold my phone and watch a movie while I'm and in a plane. I'd rather just stick it in the pocket and just listen to something. And so audiobooks have become a real good companion for me in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And also because you can listen to it while you're
Mm-hmm.
walking through the airport,
Yeah.
But I did, we flew down to Bonaire, last month, and we flew United, and they've actually got these pop out things, a phone stand
So you can hold your phone.
Yeah, and there's like a little USB charger there, so you can, plug your little USB cord in. Yeah, so that was pretty handy.
I had
But
the little pop thing on my old phone, like the little thing that pops out and you can hold and it sits it. But I felt like every time turbulence happened, or it just went. It went down. Yeah.
no, this is like it holds your phone in, like it pops out from the back of the headrest of the person in front of you.
Kind of like if you were in your car and you had your phone in like a placement.
Something like that. It's not like, it doesn't grip it, but it definitely, I mean, if it's really bad turbulence, ain't nothing going to stay where it is. But yeah. James says, I love to listen to them while sleeping and while working. And in at least one of those situations, it is frowned upon to shout curse words in surprise. I've both of those situations. Because I feel like if you're sharing a room with someone, they're not going to like you suddenly shouting curse words either, is what I'm saying. So
I just real quickly on the indie film aspect of this conversation, I want to mention this because these things are happening all over the country and even in Canada. For Miss Anita out there, I don't know if Nova Scotia, if they go that deep to Nova Scotia, I don't know if there's even a movie theater in Nova Scotia. I'm sure there are, but I want to mention this because if you look at like a Wednesday night or a Thursday night at your local theater, you will often see a weird movie that you never have heard of or thought of pop up on the theater. And it's usually a lot of AMCs are doing this now. I've really I have discovered a few good films through AMC's, indie films that never would have gotten any distribution. They just play one time.
They do that like on an odd night, like a Wednesday or something like that.
Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to
No. I mean, I understand that, but I'm asking if I heard that right. I just wasn't sure. No, I mean, I understand why they're doing it then.
Yeah, most of the time on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, any of those 3 nights, where the theater is looking to bring more people into it, especially if it's a multiplex. They'll have one screen dedicated to where you can rent it out the theater and do a premiere and things like that.
Nice.
I've been to red carpets like that and things like that. So if you see that in your area, support those, because that may be the only chance you'll ever get to see that film. And you might be able to talk about a film that nobody else has seen that you can talk about and bring to the forefront. And I think it's really important. And so all my film critics out there, all the people who write blogs, who watch all these movies and talk about them online, whenever you do this and support your indie films, because this is the wave of the future for indie film, because there's no more. I mean, there's landmark theaters out there, but they're still trying to make their money, so they're going to have the avatars and the movies that are important. So
because people aren't really going to the movies a lot anyway, so and
Anita just spiked me. She said,
Joe. Yeah, I was there going, wow, way to call somebody like a backwoods.
They even have an indie film festival. Good.
See, Joe.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I'm happy.
All that.
I mean, if you've ever seen where Anita lives, it's pretty remote. So I was just curious.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, James says, "Oh my God, Anita, you're in Nova Scotia. I need to bother you for something stupid, but it will be awesome." Oh, there you go. All right. But yeah, I mean, so do that, because I think it's important, and I think that's the wave of the future. And I think a lot of people frown upon like the Independent Spirit Awards because you've never seen any of these movies that they're nominating. This is how these movies get seen. They get seen through the film festival circuit and through these micro distributed one night only event things that happen, and so everybody go do that. If you on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night and you're bored, go out to your local theater. I guarantee you there's a microfilm or one, at least
super cool.
One night only kind of experience for you out there.
All right. Well, to go to a movie theater for that.
I mean, if you're gonna pay $20, you might as well put that $20 in the filmmaker's pocket. I mean, that's how.
Give it to an indie, man. Give it to an indie. Fuck Marvel.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna make their money. You know,
That's right. They're gonna make their money off of everybody else. It'll be fine.
I will say, just on a weird side note, the moment that Amazon posted that they put Sinners up on I bought it. It was $25, but that was $25 worth spending. You know, even though they're not going to see a dime of that. I just
Yeah, I'm still gonna wait. It'll show up somewhere else that I have access to. So maybe it'll show up on Max or something.
Yeah, eventually that's where those all go, right?
Yeah.
The Max and the
I'll wait.
Paramounts, and but or Amazon eventually brings it down, or you wait till Amazon Prime Day and
Prime.
Down,
Yeah. Well, my thing is like I'm trying real hard not to give Amazon more money than I have to.
Yeah, but I don't do it. If you see how many movies
you don't have to like justify it to me. I'm just explaining explaining why I'm not like I really want to see it, but I'm not at the point where I'm willing to give Bezos any more money than I already do. So I've actually started really divesting. Like we used to spend a couple $100 on our monthly regular stuff, and I've just like canceled a bunch of those, and I'm getting them at Costco now.
Nice. Awesome. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the wonderful comments and conversations. And this month was an interesting one. I think we came about some really important topics and some really interesting things that you guys can all take advantage of. And I think that we try to do that from now on. And it's not always about AI or about some organization fucking up. Or some organization fucking up,
Yeah, I really appreciate that it wasn't awful this month. I mean, yes, we had these stuff about safety and everything, but it wasn't really about the awfulness of that particular author's experience.
Right.
It's really about, okay, how can we all increase our safety in the world, right? So it wasn't a bad topic.
I think the topic was important for awareness. I think it was just to give us thinking again. Sometimes we let it slide a little bit and not think about it, and it's just important to think about it this time of year.
Especially when you start going to conventions more often, and you feel very comfortable. You feel very at home, but that doesn't mean that everybody there is part of your convention family. Right. So.
And there's some people who are part of the convention family that you don't want to interact with either. So,
that part right there.
As we've proven with some of the news stories we've had over the last year. So.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
I just wish people would stop being awful. Just stop being awful. It's not hard not to be awful. Like, I don't get it. It's not hard not to be an awful human. It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. We would like to have nice stuff every once in a while, everybody.
For real. I'm so tired.
Please, everybody, also just to mention tomorrow Saturday, right? Yeah, tomorrow Saturday, we have a new Saving You a Seat with myself and Brian Tan. Speaking of indie movies, you can go check out. Me and Brian Tan have a couple good recommendations for you this episode. And he made me sit down and watch Hanging with the Homeboys. So you'll get to hear what I have to say about a movie I regrettably have never seen. It's very interesting that I've never seen that movie. And the whole story behind that is in this episode. Also, on Sunday, we have This Week in Indies, which we talking about enhancing experiences and talking about paperbacks and hardcovers and audio plays and things of that nature. We are actually going to be talking about how we do as authors enhance a reader's experience and get readers to become lifelong fans instead of just people who purchase our stuff. So we're going to be talking.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good episode. We've got a good group that has had experiences with all of the aspects of what we're talking about there. So it's going to be a really great conversation. So come check that out with us. That's noon Eastern on Sunday as well. And then Saving the Seat is 6 p.m. Eastern. It's our Saturday matinee show. So I always do it at 6 p.m. because, that's a matinee. And that being said, Venessa, you want to take us out?
Yes. Y'all don't forget, it's always time to go indie now.
Bye, everybody.